I know what it's like to not be able to taste, to blow out your tastes. And basically, I can't taste anything anymore. Delicious. Sorry, I just had to have a refreshing sip. So these characters, yes, I do keep this on my desk. Are you guys in there? Hey, you gotta help me. Somebody turned me gigantic. Use the shrink ray. This is farewell to Farms, not farewell to Lower Decks, even though we're almost at the halfway point of the final season. I wouldn't necessarily say it's just starting to get good, because frankly, Lower Decks has gotten, good and worse over the course of its 5 seasons. But, if you've been following my reviews, you'll know I didn't really like the last 2 episodes, but this is a return to form. Again, like I said, it has ups and downs. I love this episode. Just to preface this review, this episode meant something, it looked good, it sounded good, and the past 2 episodes didn't really have any of those things going on, if I'm honest. Let's check out Farewell to Farms. This episode, again, has your standard A plot, B plot. They barely intertwine plot-wise, but they intertwine a lot thematically. And if you know me well, I enjoy the themes a little bit more than exactly what's going on in the plot. I'm a Star Trek watcher that likes to ask the questions, that likes some questions answered, and likes some questions to live on. Every time you write an episode, you should be fundamentally trying to answer a certain question or saying a cool what if. This episode kind of has that, but in a more contemporary Lower Decks fashion. We see the return of a character introduced in the second to last episode, I believe, of last season with Ma, a Klingon that had befriended in rather dangerous circumstances, not to spoil anything, at the end of last season. And we're returning for shenanigans, we're returning for lower decking, and a good time will be had by all. Hopefully you. But I definitely had a good time. We're going to A, Konos, and B, accepting dignitaries from a foreign culture, that being the Cloakans. Cloaca, what's that mean? If you don't know, Migleemo is one of these Cloakans, an avian type of person, not unlike a Dreek from Star Trek Prodigy. I found myself saying this many times during this episode. Imagine if a Dreek were here. Maybe you said the same thing if you've already watched this, and watched Prodigy, which you should. On Konos, this is where episode kind of starts, and I knew right from the get-go this episode was going to be special. I knew this episode meant something. It had heart. Our episode starts off with a slow, melancholy and thoughtful version of the Lower Decks theme, but it's set over the vistas of Konos, and they made it look beautiful. The earth tones, the reds, the browns, the lighting, it's believable, it's intriguing, it's interesting, it's punchy. We see farming. Okay, this episode is called Farewell to Farms. We see targs running around. We see somebody digging for gag in the ground, the worms. Why would I want to say farewell to farms if they look like this? This could be paradise, depending on who you ask. Flashbacks to Picard, like season 1 and season 2, where they kind of started off on the Picard, vineyard. This is a lot better than Picard season 1 and season 2, but hey, it's up to you. Where's Picard when you need him? Could Picard mix in blood wine? Interesting question. We're reintroduced, like I said, to Ma from previous season, and his brother, Malor, who I immediately loved, which means they're just going to kill him. If this was live-action modern Trek, this means we would kill him. You know how we introduce a character, get you to love them, and then pull the rug out from under you and kill them. Hopefully that doesn't happen with Malor at some point. But I immediately took to this Malor character. He's kind of a different Klingon than what we've seen before. Not concerned with honor, just concerned with kind of getting a slam dunk on his brother, who is concerned with honor. And in a few moments, you can see this Malor character playing some kind of Klingon video game. What is that? I want to know. They're working on this farm, and Malor is getting in a number of digs at our character Ma for losing his command. He lost his captaincy at the end of the previous season of Lower Decks. Go watch it, and you'll know why. He was in Bargh's fleet, and Bargh has no care for honor and no care for the plot line of the previous season, where Ma had to do what he had to do to save the day. He ended up having to kill Bargh's brother and basically work together with a nasty Starfleet human, that being Mariner, and he's embarrassed about Mariner calling him. We see him throw a communicator away. We see him throw a knife at a display screen that Mariner tries to call him on. Who is this human? Why are they calling you? What's wrong with you? You lost your captaincy. Now you're fraternizing with Starfleet humans? Can't have that now, can we? The relationship between Mariner and Ma is something that he's trying to hide, especially from Malor, because Malor is going to take any in he has in order to stick the knife into Ma. Malor put some decorative horns on their ship. They have a ship to carry blood wine to this bar. That's their job. They're farmers, in a sense. The bones hit the bones on the wall on the way to this bar, and they say something like, your decorative bones hit the horns on the wall. It was so funny, just in retrospect and watching it again, that how Klingon is it for the bones on the outside of a ship to hit the decorative bones on the wall and then have the bones clash and then fall off the ship. Only on Konos our bones hit their bones. We go to this bar, and of course we meet a female Klingon interested in Ma. Oh, rank doesn't matter, and blah blah. I don't know where this is going. We never follow up on this. I don't think we were reintroduced at any point to this female Klingon character. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I can't remember who this was. But she seems to be coming on to Ma, and Malor kind of quashes this. And also Mariner shows up and immediately deletes anything that would have been going on between these two characters. Who is this female Klingon? I don't know. Maybe I just forgot. But Mariner has now shown up in person, and now you cannot hide anymore that Mariner wants to talk to you. If Mariner is at the bar, she's going to make her presence known, and she does. Mariner and Boimler show up, ostensibly to return Klingon bones to some museum of bones. Later on, we learn this might not be exactly the case. I'll save that for later. How is Ma going to get back his captaincy? Boimler's on a Klingon kick recently, where he knows all these things about Klingon culture. And listen, we know Star Trek by now. If we're dealing with an alien culture and we need to have the plot go off, we just invent a ritual. We make up a ritual out of nowhere, and then they have to do it so the plot can continue. And they know this, I know this, and I'll be damned if I remember any of these rituals that the Klingons had to engage in. Same with Vulcans and all the other alien, non-human races I know about. I can't remember all of them. Who do you think I am? So are these real? Are they making these up? They make up a human one, and they call it the right of unreturned favors. You save me, and if I don't return the favor, they're going to feed me to a bear. That's what Mariner says to Ma. And then Boimler gets up after getting into a fight, just for funsies, and just says, yeah, they feed us to a bear. Like he knew already. You see, we're making up a human ritual, right? To kind of, hand wave away the Klingon ritual. So we're going to give you a crazy Klingon ritual. But by the way, here's this joke human ritual, kind of telling us that the writers know. They know. Like, if something is stupid and the writers know and they're in on the joke, it kind of eases you into it and it's not as stupid. And I think that's what they're trying to do in this episode. Maybe they wrote it backwards. We need to have these crazy rituals go on for these Klingon characters to get this story across. Let's make up a human one to kind of invite the human audience, if you're a human, to come along for the ride and experience it with us. So we do that. There's a rite of forced conscription. There's a rite of getting your captaincy back. There's a blah, blah, blah. They all have these different names. It was last invoked 300 years ago, which would have been like the 2080s or something, which was a while ago. So you can actually go back to this Bargh character and invoke some ancient rite in order to get your captaincy back. And your guess is as good as mine for the veracity of this. But they do show up in front of Bargh. And Bargh says, okay, you're gonna have to engage in these challenges. Boimler was all gung-ho about this because Boimler wants to freaking die. He has a death wish because he's on a Klingon kick. And it's all in the beard, baby. It's the beard that's doing it. He's right. It is the beard that does it. Although I'm not about to go allow myself to get zapped by a pain stick. But Boimler is. And one of these challenges, of course, is getting hit by pain sticks. You have to get 4 of your characters together. 4 companions have to walk through this hall of pain sticks where they zap you, and the zaps get increasing in strength as you go. One would assume that. And the final pain stick is 30,000 volts. So they sneak Malor along, even though Malor doesn't look too gung-ho about doing it. Boimler, I feel like Boimler would probably just want to do this on his own. I think Boimler is at the point now where he's willing to die to prove a point, and this does come up later where he is willing to sacrifice himself, and Mariner kind of slaps him out of it. Another laugh in this episode. That's what I like about Lower Decks comedy. When our characters from Starfleet get hurt trying to do the right thing, we can laugh at weird alien cultures, and we can laugh at ourselves trying to save the day. That's where you get the funny for me. That's where it's got the heart when we do it that way, without really demeaning people, in a sense. Our characters have to walk through the hall of pain sticks. The last one, like I said, is 30,000 volts. To overcome it, Boimler says we need to huddle together, and it'll dissipate the voltage. I'm no electrician. I'm an engineer, but I guess I'm close. But I don't think it works that way. I don't think if you're not creating a circuit with the floor to dissipate the voltage already, you're not going to be creating any more of a circuit by holding on to somebody. I don't think it works like that. And you're not connected in series. I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think holding on to these people and huddling together and create a larger mass will change the voltage. Unless they were inaccurate in what they said and Boimler had it wrong, and it's not necessarily voltage that causes the pain. I don't know if it really works like that. But don't take the wrong lesson from Star Trek. Okay, take the good stuff, but maybe don't try to huddle together with somebody because you saw it on Lower Decks and then touch a live wire, and we'll be fine. Bzz. Don't do that. Okay, I don't think this is quite right. Like I said, you do your own research on GIMP. Call up your LCARS display right now and ask what's going on. I don't know, but I don't think it quite works like this. But anyway, teamwork makes the dream work, and there's no I in team, but there is an I in win, and Ma wins this challenge, only to be greeted with another challenge, wrestling and neutralizing a giant targ. Malor should be able to help with this. You're a farmer, and he does help. We bring all of our skills to bear on this targ. We each grab a leg, and we topple this gigantic targ. And they do mess with us a little bit. Oh, now you need to go trim its toenails and do something else with it. That sounds even more crazy. Boimler probably would love to do that stuff, but this is a little bit insane. Let's go on with the next challenge. The next challenge is sacrificing one of your companions. Boimler says he'll do it, but Mariner says no. His heart says yes, but his Mariner says no. Of course, Ma, being a hero, offers to sacrifice himself. However, one of the other Klingon people in the Oversight Committee manages to convince Bargh that they should have a moment to cry about it, increase the perceived pain. So they do have an argument amongst each other where they realize the right of forced conscription was something else that was brought up, and actually you can force Bargh to be in your fleet and then sacrifice him, because once he becomes a part of your fleet, he's one of your companions for this challenge, and then you can sacrifice him, and somehow this is legal. I don't know. Like I said, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know if we're flying by the seat of our pants, or is this some actual Klingon thing? I don't have a Klingon around to ask right now, I'm sorry, and we don't really have it on the computer here. But, hey, the fact of the matter is, we're going to fight Bargh. We're going to sacrifice Bargh, but Bargh, of course, is going to fight it. He's going to fight back. He's not going to take that laying down, although he is sleeping when we encounter him. He was laying down. We do have a fight between Bargh and Ma, and it looks awesome. It looks freaking cool. This is a cool looking episode, and it's always cool to be on Konos and get the kind of dark tone and the harsh lighting and the reds and stuff. It all plays really well, especially with the pink Klingon blood. Like it's pink when we need it to be, and it's pink here. So it was a good touch. They do fight to the death. Bargh dies. Ma survives, but better than that, he is victorious. Ma is back in his own fleet, and he has his own ship. And hey, Murtaugh started off in a ship like this too, and this little farming transport ship is how he's getting started. Now he's going to be working his way back up in the Empire. So here's to Ma, and here's to Malor. Hopefully this is not the last we see of them. I got a good feeling they're going to be returning in the final episode for some kind of big battle, if previous new Trek seasons are to be believed, where they kind of historically always end with a large battle like that, for better or for worse. Mariner reveals that we really weren't here to return some stupid bone. We just couldn't get access to this quantum fissure, this dimensional rift, this hole in space. It was in Klingon territory, and we weren't allowed to get into here. That's why we come up with some kind of story about returning to something to a museum, upon which we would illicitly steal the data on the hole. I didn't really like that one, but now we have a captain to allow us access to this hole, and by hook or by crook, we're going to go look at that hole. And this season, I guess, is about finding these holes, and I just realized it now. I felt like we're 4 episodes in without really an overarching plot here. But this was in the first episode, Dimensional Rift, and now it's back. And they also say, according to Mariner, that it looks like somebody's doing this on purpose. They don't look random. How intriguing. So that was their A plot. B plot, it mirrors it, it reflects it. It's more funny, but it rhymes with it. It has a lot of the same message, which is very good. I really like that. We're hammering it home, and it reveals new details about itself on repeat viewings. You see, on the ship, Migleemo has to talk to Legnog and Gonald, 2 Cloacan food reviewers. I guess their word is as close to scripture as they can possibly get. Migleemo's words, not mine. You see, his culture developed warp travel to find, quote, strange new meals. I think I can like these people. I like to eat food. I eat it every day in order to not die. But these characters take food to a next level. It's often said that some people eat to live and some people live to eat. And if these people are living to eat, let me tell you. They board the ship. Everything is disgusting, including the ship. I didn't really appreciate that. Oh, hide my eyes so I don't have to see the halls. This ship is disgusting. They have a replicated meal. First mistake. They say it's disgusting. How nice of you. You people are so nice. Migleemo, would you take over here before I say something undiplomatic? That's what Captain Freeman says. Which in itself sounds like something that's a little bit undiplomatic when you say it that way. Our characters have prepared this dish. It sucks. They didn't really like it. So we got to, really hammer it home here to make something that's not replicated. So they make a really, really disgusting Inaran fish, glumpfish, something like that. Hogfish. Yeah, it's the Inaran hogfish Galantine. Galantine. I think that's what it was. I'm not a chef. I don't know these complicated terms. And it all looks very disgusting, which means it's very fancy. I've learned one thing about food is that when it looks disgusting, it's actually fancy. So if we make the Inaran hogfish Galantine look very, very bad, that means it's very, very exciting and complicated and fancy. And we feed it to them, and of course, it's disgusting again. Have you people ever heard of salt? There's no salt on this. Migleemo says, what? It's covered with salt. They can't taste anything. And I can understand this to a certain point. And I was on board with his whole plot about them being honest about this, not being able to taste anything. Because I've eaten a lot of extreme foods in my life. And, I know what it's like to not be able to taste, to blow out your tastes. And basically, I can't taste anything anymore. Delicious. Sorry, I just had to have a refreshing sip. So these characters, yes, I do keep this on my desk. Something's fishy here. And it ain't the food, although it was a fish. Migleemo is now facing the coming prospect of being arrested by these people. And to not be able to be arrested by these people would be to challenge the sovereignty of the Cloacans. And we don't want a diplomatic incident here, right? With these Cloacans, with Legnog and Gonald. So we're going to have to allow Migleemo to get arrested. Your guess is as good as mine for why we're allowed to do this. But We have one last chance here. Migleemo is being carried away. I don't know if he's exactly in chains, but he seems to be compliant, and he's going with them. And we got to save Migleemo from his own culture here, which is, you'll notice, reflects very strongly with the A-plot here. Saving someone's standing with their home culture. Very important. So what are we going to do? When we arrive down on the planet of this, what is it, Cloaca? I don't know if that's the name of the planet, but they are Cloacans. He gets off the ship, and they're greeted by oysters on a plate. Here's your, complimentary oysters. Here you go. Of course, our characters are wise to this plot. They're hip to what's going on. You know who isn't? Legnog and Gonald. It's hard to remember these strange names. They sound like Packlet names to me, like Grebnedlog or something like that. Legnog and Gonald. They have the oysters. Finally, some real food. Oh, fine Cloacan expertise. And then, we swapped them. What do you mean? We swapped them with manure we made from the replicator. They just ate manure. They ate poop. They ate crap. That's what they had. And they loved it. Joke's on you, and they smell it, and yes, it is manure. Our characters, Rutherford and Tendi, switch the dish on them. They flip the script. They flip the table. And Rutherford and Tendi, by the way, basically don't do anything else in this episode. They kind of disappear. Which is fine. They can come back later. They can have their own episode later. But this episode isn't really their episode. Apart from switching these dishes, I think that's really what they accomplish here. Proving once and for all that these characters are they're frauds. Legnog and Gonald, they've been lying about their reviews. That's why all the reviews, see on this pad? That's why all the reviews say everything's disgusting. They can't taste anything. They puff out, there you go, plumage. They've been found out, and then Migleemo immediately reveals that he is a chef of the mind, and reveals the psychological problems that have likely led up to this physical problem for them. And yes, I will give you, I will see you for however many sessions, as long as you provide me with fine cuisine. Is that ethical? Shut up. So Migleemo is getting the win, as is Ma and Malor. Uplifting, positive episode. Our victories come at the expense of enemies from our home cultures that weren't exactly nice people to begin with. We're winning. We're nicer. We're Starfleet. We're helping people. That's the name of the game in this episode. Thematically speaking, to get this across to you, in our A-plot and our B-plot, we're pushing out our Starfleet characters into the host cultures of our non-human friends and helping them rekindle their relationship with those people in situ. What that means is we're in the process. We're in their world. We're not taking them out of their culture and plopping them somewhere else. We're going back in, changing something, and leaving. Okay? It's like going to a nature reserve. Leave only your footprints. We're Starfleet in this episode. We're going into these host cultures. We're saying, listen, there could be a problem here. Let me help you. The right of unreturned favors. So Migleemo makes up with Legnog and Gonald, and Ma and Malor make up with this Klingon culture and devise their own fleet, essentially. They're not in Bog's fleet anymore. They're starting again from the bottom, which probably is as fun as it sounds. We are lower deckers after all. Musically speaking, at the very beginning we have a wonderful rendition of the Lower Decks theme. I don't know if it's totally original to this episode or if we heard it before in a previous Lower Decks episode, but I really loved it. And it really just set the tone. As soon as I heard that, I knew what kind of episode this was going to be, and I knew I was going to like it. Visually, it's so fun being on Konos. There could have been some more ships. The Cerritos, though, I noticed while it was flying at warp, it looked like the star streaks going by were lighting the Cerritos in a different way. I thought that was cool. I thought it was a nice touch. It's a nice way to kind of make the old style of warp a little bit more visually dynamic. Maybe I just caught on to something. Maybe this is going to come up in a future episode. There's something going on with space after all, with these dimensional rifts. Like I said before, the reds, the browns, the harsh lighting, the silhouette on things that we experience on Konos is fantastic. And the farm on Konos, man, you're making it look good. You're making it look so good. I want to just kind of be there myself. So, good job, I guess. You're also introducing me to Malor. Modern Trek, New Trek, has a knack for introducing a character out of nowhere and making me like them. Just don't kill Malor, please. Plot-wise, these two plots are not advancing the overall arc, whatever that is, of this season far at all. Nor do I care. I did not care when I was watching this episode because I was just along for the ride. We're not here for a long time. We're here to have a good time. And this is a good time. This was Farewell to Farms. This is the 4th episode of the last season of Lower Decks. And if anything, it's made me say, unfortunately, I'm not happy to maybe say farewell to Lower Decks. I'll say farewell to the farm. But with Malor gone and Ma gone, who's going to be running the farm? That's what I was thinking. This episode, unlike the past few episodes, is not loaded up with things that don't make sense. It's not loaded up with things that come out of nowhere to save the day, and it's not loaded up with a lot of contrivances. The only contrivances I could really pick out, in a sense, were the Klingon rituals. Did they work for you? For me, it was enough to let the plot go on, and it was enough for me to turn my brain off and not worry about it. And it was fun that the writers put in the human ritual at the beginning just to get me on board with the joke. With all this stuff out of the way, we're winning on theme. Our plot is a little bit shallow. Musically, we're doing good. Visually, we're doing good. 3 out of 4 ain't bad, although it does not exactly equate to like a 3 out of 4 on a 10 scale. I'm going to have to go ahead and give this episode a really good 6.5 out of 10. For me, that's pretty strong. This one's a keeper. This isn't going to be one to throw in the pile with all the other episodes that just don't really matter. This one kind of matters, although not so much for the plot. It matters for how you feel. And at the end of the day, feeling good and doing good, well, what else really matters? I'm Lieutenant Mark, and I'm going to see you next time I see you. I'm signing out. So long.